Hello and welcome to Getting It Done, a podcast about music, education, and life lessons. I am your host, Tim Rausenberger, and today is a beautiful Thursday, July 25th, 2019. Here we are, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is episode 300, Life Skills, everything you never learned in school. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me tonight for Magic Episode 300. If you are a first-time listener, first time that you've ever tuned into any of the podcasts, welcome. Great to see you here. Thank you for joining me tonight. This has been an amazing journey and a journey in time, as it were. There we go. That's why I wore the tie, how we manage our tie and how important it is to develop our 168 hours a week and how well we spend them. I'd like to give a shout out to all of our supporters out there who have made this possible. A big hello, of course, to our incredible moderator, Alice, who has been with us for most of the episodes. I have to certainly give a shout out to the great Ian. A lot of you may remember Ian was one of our moderators early on. He has had a career change, so he's been unable to moderate of late, but hopefully he'll be back in the future. So I'd like to certainly thank our moderators. If you can give it up for them, I'd really appreciate it. Throughout the course of the evening, as you know, if you're new to the format, if you have questions, please understand that I am multitasking in every possible way here in terms of the music that we have, that I have going on in the background, taking a look at the questions that I have prepared for tonight that I want to answer for you, other types of material that I have in store for you for this nice 2-hour episode. So there's only so much that I'm able to do. I appreciate your patience with that, and certainly if you have certain questions or things that are not being answered immediately, do not take any offense to it. We will get to them as quickly as humanly possible. If it's not answered, feel free to post it again, and Alice will do her very best to text it to me. I always have my phone here so I can receive your information. Let me know that you're out there. I don't know if you're here, who's here. I have a whole slew of people I can see who are watching and who have already given a thumbs up, which I appreciate. If you haven't given a thumbs up to the episode yet, please feel free to do so. I would appreciate that. Thank you very much. I already see that's going up. And let me know that you're here. That's the biggest thing of all, is knowing that that you are involved. So I see a whole bunch of people. So I want to just say hello to a bunch of people that I know that are people who are returning. And I have some new subscribers we got tonight, which is great. If you have not subscribed, please do so. Make sure to hit that magic subscribe button below, or wherever it is that you need to find it with your phone or your tablet or whatever computer, whatever type of device you're using. So a big hello to Jared Penn. Jared, who won our Amazon gift card last week and also is the author of an excellent book on Amazon. If you want the details of that, you can check out episode 298, in which I did put that information there for Jared, and I'll certainly have him on as a guest in the future for one of our podcasts. So you'll get to see a little Q&A action. Hello to Charlize. So great to see you. I'm glad that you were able to make it tonight. Thank you for joining us. Ken, always at a lot of the episodes. Ella Sprout, I'm not sure who you are exactly, but I like that name, and I noticed that you're a new subscriber, and I greatly appreciate it. The magical Esther Almanzar has returned. She is, I think, in every single episode. I think she's a complete and total getting it done addict. So wonderful to see you. Hello, it's Gabby. Obviously, it must be so with it says there. So, but it's already great to see so many of you involved. So please feel free to chat. Feel free to talk to each other. The one thing I certainly ask is that we're respectful to one another. I certainly have to give that as a little bit of a reminder. There are other podcasts out there that can be controversial in nature. This is not one of them. This is one of those podcasts where we like to really do things that are going to be more of a positive mindset. So I appreciate your support with that. So we're not in a situation where you have to give you any warnings and potentially ask you to leave the chat. We certainly don't want to have to do anything like that. For tonight's episode, of course, we are going to be giving away, here they are. The proof is right here. 1 and 2, there they are. Okay, the Six Flags passes, and I'll just kind of bring them a little closer if I can, so you can actually read the information there. All right. And you can see they're valid until September 22nd, 2019. This can be used at any Six Flags. These passes are, I don't know if it says it on here, does it? Yep. Very, 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 very small right over there. The admission price, $87.42 for each ticket. Okay, so we're talking about $175 in tickets right here, and I cannot wait to give these away tonight. You have to stay with the podcast though, because I am not, little hint, I'm not going to be giving them away at 9 o'clock tonight. So I'm just letting you know. I'm not going to tell you when, but I typically give away our Amazon gift cards right at the very end. I'm not doing that with these passes tonight. It's going to be happening somewhere in the middle of the episode, but I'm not telling you when. So you got to stick around to get those, because I don't just give away $175 for nothing, you know. By the way, I cannot take credit for having purchased these. These were given to me by the person who just wants to call themselves an angel. Someone who just donated them to our podcast, and I would appreciate anybody out there, if you know anyone who's a business owner, anyone who would like to get some free promotions of any kind, I would certainly like to help them out and be able to give them free commercial plugs. So again, thank you to all of you who are out there, and please, please, please get involved in the chat. The first thing that I need you to do tonight, guys, is I need you to type in questions quite bluntly, honestly, and keep them appropriate, of course, of things that you have always wanted to learn in school, things that you may have not learned in school, things that you think you may never learn in school. I respectfully ask that you're not putting things in the chat that are, for lack of a better word, anti-school. Okay, that's not what we want to be doing here. My job is to kind of fill in the gaps, and those of you out there who would like to get that additional information, well, you're here obviously because you want to learn and to get better. The reality is that there is no perfect way to provide the most comprehensive education. There are lots of people out there who think that our educational system is broken, with the meaning that there are things that are happening in schools, there are things that are taught in school that are not relevant, perhaps. And I'm not in disagreement with you. There were things that I took when I was in school that I absolutely despised. There were certain subjects I couldn't stand. There are certain things that I've had to study over the course of my life, throughout the course of my education, that I simply did not enjoy. Please know that this was not just during my elementary school, middle school, and high school. This also included college. There were some courses I took there that were, shall we say, less than desirable. But the goal here, instead of, and this is the challenge I give to all of you, instead of attacking and talking negatively about your school or whatever situation you came from, without thinking back, because we can't change the past. We can't do anything about that. And there are certain things that we can't change about our present or even our future. We want to, quite honestly, just ask the questions. I mean, I see Charlize already putting things in there like, how do you do your taxes? What's the best advice for having kids? And I'm going to do the very best I can to answer as many of your questions as possible. The more you provide, the more I can help you with. I can tell you that in this magic phone, I did send out, oh my goodness, it had to have been something like 50 messages, different people that I know extremely well, who I trust dearly, and said to them very bluntly, what did you not learn in school? What are the things that you wish you knew? And even now at age 20, 25, 30, 16, 40, 60, and things along the way. So at any rate, in terms of all the different types of questions you can possibly think of, feel free to put them in here. And again, like I said, make sure that things are appropriate. And that's, we just don't want to be in a situation where we have to say anything throughout the evening. So we're going to get right into it. And why, first of all, did this episode come about? Okay, so now we've had 300 episodes. Now, if you have never heard any of my episodes in the past, I strongly encourage you to do so. If you look on YouTube, you'll see that my episode started with episode 251. And that was the first episode on YouTube. So this is our 50th episode on YouTube, which I'm pretty proud of. We do have a few episodes that are in production at the moment. Some of the more recent episodes are currently going through some editing and some production, and they'll be released very, very soon. But I would say that it would be a really great idea for some of you out there to check out the previous 250 episodes, which were audio episodes available on iTunes or SoundCloud. If you simply type in my name and type in iTunes with podcast, or my name with iTunes, SoundCloud, or if you go to the website, which is, of course, whoops, it'd be nice if I had the cursor in the box here. If you go to gettingitdone.us, gettingitdone.us. If you go to that website, my own personal website, you will see links there to get to iTunes, to get the SoundCloud. If you don't have a SoundCloud account, open one up. It's free, and you can get access to all of my episodes. I have 250 worth. Some of them are as short as 5 minutes, and others are as long as an hour. They range. Obviously, our live episodes are very, very long, but that's because I want to be able to give back to you. So I hope that you'll take the time. And certainly, if you like an episode, please, 5-star rating would be fantastic. If you can give me some likes and all that stuff. Again, if you're just joining us, please, the like button. If you are new here and you have not subscribed yet, make sure to smash that subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. And again, if you're just jumping in, the 2 Six Flags tickets, we're going to get to these, but we're not doing it at 9 o'clock. I'm just telling you now, we're not doing it at 9. We're going to be doing it sometime in the middle of the podcast. Hey, by the way, how's the music? Can everybody hear the music clearly? Hopefully it's not overpowering tonight. I'm trying to go with this like ambient type thing. Remember, I can't do music that violates copyright. We learned that off with here I go. I'm going to butcher it now. Danza Guduro. Sorry to all my Hispanic friends out there. But we had some issues with that. And I think it was episode 252 or 254. I can't remember. One of those. At any rate, okay, so let's get right to it. Let's get into some of your questions. We're going to start right away with the questions that I already have in the chat. We're going to do those first, and then I'm going to get to some of the ones that are right here in my phone. And then as you continue to ask your questions off to the side, then it will make our episode better. Please get involved in the chat. In order to win the tickets, you have to be involved in the chat, because I have to know that you're actually here. And I don't know if you're here, if you're just sitting on the sidelines. Please don't be that person who sits on the sidelines. I know some of you are shy. A lot of you don't want to necessarily get involved. But if you get involved in things, then, you'd be amazed at how much it can change your life. So got some very interesting names here. We have Butthole who joined us. That's lovely. Okay. And OG Jaquavis. So hello to you. All right. Let's go to some of the questions I have already found here. So we're going to start off with Let's go. Scroll down here. Okay, the very first question happens to be from Charlize, and her question is, "How do I do my taxes?" Now, there are some of you out there who are not in a position where you necessarily have to do taxes yet, or you don't have a job yet. And why would you need to do taxes? Well, to be blunt, when you are working in any type of position, any type of job, you have to pay taxes. Well, some people will say, but I do this, this, and this, and someone pays me this amount of money in cash, and do I have to pay taxes on that? I don't know if you get super, super technical on that. If someone is paying you cash for something, I'm not going to go into all of the legality with that. I will just say that there are most occupations where you are being paid consistently by cash that is illegal. So you need to be paid what we call on the books. So it's something that's legit, or legitimate, I should say, use the full word, where we are receiving typically checks, and that money will then get deposited into some type of a bank account, a checking account, or a savings account, whatever have you. Now, the taxes themselves, what winds up happening with your paycheck, and I had students who didn't know this. I had a 17-year-old student who I recently started mentoring, and she had absolutely no idea that taxes are taken out of checks. She believed that if you worked 10 hours a week and you were paid $10 an hour, that you took home $100, and that's not how it works. And if you're working for whatever the company happens to be, and you make $100, well, it's not necessarily going to be $100. It's going to wind up turning into $80 or $82 or $76. It all depends. It depends on how much money you've made to that point. Depends on your hourly wage. It depends on whether you're full-time or part-time. There are a lot of different factors that are involved. The bottom line is that money is taken out of your check. Now, I'm not going to go into all of the things with that. Quite bluntly, you can look that up online and find out what are those little symbols in a check in terms of, like, for instance, one of them that's taken out of your check is Social Security. And what is that and how is it determined? You can look up that material online. But I am telling you that there's money that's taken out of every check. And we can have whatever opinions we want on it. The one thing I can basically tell you is deal with it. I think one of those famous sayings in life is there are only two things that are certainties: death and taxes. That's a long-term saying out there, and there's a lot of truth to it. You're going to be dealing with taxes, so you can complain about it or you just pay them. It is what it is. In different countries, they will have different types of rules and regulations and restrictions, and America's the same way. So that's my little thing about taxes. The one thing I will say about taxes, if you have no clue what you're doing when it comes to your taxes, if you really, really don't know what you're doing, get someone who does. And what I mean by that is not necessarily the person downstairs who's just a nice person. I'm talking about a professional. Sometimes it's best to just pay the person the money to save yourself the aggravation. I have my own personal accountant. I have to pay him a nice sum of money each year to do my taxes. But here's what I know: they're always done correctly. And the reason I know that is because what makes anyone that you're going to hire to do something, the expectation is that they are current, they're up to date on things, that they know what's going on in the industry. So when you hire an accountant should be up to date on what the rules are when it comes to taxes, as opposed to you who might be out there uneducated when it comes to taxes. It doesn't mean that you're not a stupid person. It doesn't mean that you don't get it and you're never going to get it. But here's what I'll tell you. If you're finding that you're spending 10, 20, 30, 40 hours having to work on your taxes, guess what that is, my friends? That's wasted time. And for me, I am not wasting my time trying to figure out if I might be correct. No. I take all my information that I know my accountant wants. I hand it off to him. We discuss everything. He educates me on what needs to be done in terms of getting everything all done. And so everything is done legally. And then it's not just me signing off on it. It's an accountant actually signing off on it. And I have to believe in my heart of hearts that when an accountant is doing that type of thing with you, that everything is going to be on the up and up. So that's what comes with taxes. And I'm trying not to spend so much time on every answer, but something like taxes, it's a very, very confusing thing. Okay, let's just kind of go down the line here. What is the best advice? Another one from Charlize. I'm just going in the order that I'm seeing them. What is the best advice for having kids? This is so easy to answer. What's the best advice for having kids? Please, 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 I beg you, please do not have children if you're not going to be able to provide for them. I cannot stand when people decide that they're going to have kids, but they don't have a plan, and more specifically, they don't have a financial plan that's in place. Quite bluntly, if you don't have the money to be able to support yourself, you shouldn't be having children. I hate to say it that way, but you shouldn't. Because what's going to wind up happening is if you're not even able to support yourself, if you can't even pay your own bills, how in heaven's name are you going to be able to provide appropriately for a child? I don't know the exact stats, but from what things that I've read, I know it's like 6 figures. It might be like $1 million or something. It's really that much if you do it correctly on how much it costs to raise a child. One child, not multiple children, just one child. If you're going to do it, for lack of a better word, the right way. There's a lot of planning involved. One of the biggest things with parenting, and this is a view that I heard recently from a motivational speaker I admire a great deal, is that parenting might be the one thing that people are the least prepared for. You can read as many books as you want on parenting, and you can talk to your own parents or grandparents, but the reality is that a lot of people simply are not they're not well prepared. And if you make the decision that you're going to have that type of relationship with another person, then you need to also own the fact and the responsibility that if you ultimately wind up having a child, that you're going to be able to provide. Because if not, then that's extremely, extremely unfair to the child. Really unfair. Remember, the child in the end didn't ask to be born. Okay, the child was born because of the actions of someone else, or I should say, 2 other people who got together, obviously. So that's my thought on that. I've really never said that to anyone before, but I feel very strongly about it. And I'm sorry, but saying, well, we love each other so much. Well, love is only going to be able to get you so far. That's fine that you love someone. There's nothing wrong with that. But love does not pay the bills. Love does not overcome all. People will say that, and it's not true. It just isn't. You can love, but you also have to be able to provide and be able to support. There's a lot more than just providing love. So I know some people may not necessarily agree with that, but money is not everything, but it is important. And when it comes to a child, that child deserves, the best possible upbringing that he or she can get, and that you are able to provide for them. So that's the deal with that. All right, let's keep on going. This is just a random musing just from Alice. I wish I had the opportunity to have learned to play a musical instrument. What I would simply say is, if you haven't learned how to play a musical instrument, you just need to, and you need to, and you need to now, and not wait any longer. Just do it. Get just get off your rear end and just do it. Anybody can learn an instrument at any given time. There are even lessons that are online. I know that YouTube lessons are not ideal, but there's so many resources online. Reading music is really not as hard as people think it is. I think people are just terrified by it for reasons I'll never ever understand, and saying, "Oh, I'm not smart enough." That's complete baloney. That's just totally and absolutely not true. Anyone can learn how to play an instrument, and I really think that I think if everybody in the world played an instrument, or at the very least sang, and when I say you sing, that there's more than just singing along with in the shower, but actually the study of singing, and understanding what you're singing, and reading music notes, things of that nature. I think there's a lot to that, being able to be in a musical ensemble. There are lots of things within a community. Some are better than others, but at least it's something. Because if when people actually get involved in a musical organization, it can really change your perception of a lot of things. Right now, we're in the process of we're really finalizing everything in terms of the recruitment with our marching band at our school, and our color guard, and we have an extremely spirited group of kids this year. Very, very, very excited, and very, very hungry to learn, and it's wonderful. I think that they're realizing that they're there for a common goal. I think a lot of them are realizing that they are finding friends, and they're making friends, and they're finding people that are like them, that they have never seen in their, they've never met people like that in their lives before. I think the opportunity to be able to interact with someone who might be a year older than you, a year younger than you, or someone who might be 2 or 3 years older than you, and is almost like that older brother or sister you never had. There's a lot of value, there's a lot of power behind that. So I really encourage anyone to get involved when it comes to music. Let's just kind of scroll down here. Let's see what else we have. I just want to say a few more quick ones here. So hang on one second, just have to do a few things. Okay. All right. Hello, just very quickly to Carmen Machado. Hello, Carmen. Great to see you here. Jazzy Games. Great to see you here. Adrian. Wonderful. Michelle. Great to see you back. Michelle is a regular here. I see Cindy is here again. Nice to see you. Little J Styles. That's great. All right. Let's see what else we have here. And 86 Goku. That's someone new. Great. All right. So we got a whole bunch of different questions here. Let's see. Okay. Let's see what we got here. I'm just reading some questions here. All right. Thanks for being patient, guys. I appreciate it. Okay. Let's see what other questions we have here. Great. All right. Okay, so here's a question. Okay, Charlize had actually asked a question here. How do I find a tax professional? That's actually not very hard to do, but you can easily get burned in terms of the type of person that you ultimately hire. So in that case, what I would recommend is that you find someone that you know who has an accountant. I could certainly give you my accountant's name. That would be a wonderful thing that I'm, happy to provide to you in any way. And I know there are some other people here as well. Okay. This is a question I've gotten from a lot of people. Why don't they teach us what's good to eat and what's not? Oh boy, is that a loaded question. What's good to eat and what's not? I'm going to be a little careful when I answer this one because you guys have to remember I do work for a school system, and I can absolutely certifiably tell you that there are a lot of people in the world who believe that certain foods are really, really great for you. I'll give you a classic example. I have a very, very good friend who loves to eat pasta. Fine. Okay. I know some of you out there love pasta. That's great. Whenever I talk to her, one of the things that she always says, is, hang on just 1 second, please. Okay. And I do want to let you know, and I have no problem saying this because I'm not going to try to, ignore it or anything like that. I am fully aware of what's going on in the chat in terms of some of the inappropriate things that are going on. Please do know that any of the people who are saying inappropriate things in the chat, as soon as the episode is completed, my production team will be reporting you, and we will be going to the appropriate authorities for any type of harassment in terms of our episodes. So I do very respectfully ask, along with our production team, that if you are engaging and you're making those types of decisions, that is fine. You're welcome to do what you'd like to do, but please understand that there are consequences. So I respectfully do ask that you're respectful here in my home and in my episode here, but we are fully aware of what's going on, and we don't want anybody to be subjected to inappropriate chat here. So thank you so much for that. You'll even see that Carmen is talking right here in the chat. She's being very direct about it. Eat clean, no soy. Amen, Carmen. I was just telling students about that recently. Soy, not good. It's not good at all for you in any way. If you do the studies, most fried foods are not good. The non-starchy foods or fruits, lots of water, lean meats. Okay, that's absolutely the way to go, and only some sugars. What are your best sugars? Certainly fruit. Okay, those are the best ones. But what I will say is, I was getting back to that story, and I don't want to lose my train of thought. I have a very, very good friend, and she talked about pasta. And she loves pasta. And every time, I don't know, I think it's like a guilt thing. And she'll say, I made for my family whole wheat pasta. Whole wheat pasta. And I can tell you right now, there is almost nothing good about whole wheat pasta. There just isn't. Because if you do a side-by-side of your standard pasta, and then if you do the side by side of regular pasta and then the whole wheat pasta, you will be absolutely amazed at how similar all the ingredients are. Absolutely, the similar. So, and again, like Carmen even says, any pasta is fine, but it's got to be. You can't be pigging out on it. It's gonna be an issue. So, all right, let's get some more questions we have here. Okay. Esther had asked, what are some of the responsibilities to a healthy relationship? I think when it comes to relationships, and I'm not sure if Esther's talking about a relationship between two people in terms of being intimate, or in terms of a relationship just in terms of being friendly. I think one of the things that's important is honesty. I think that's key. I think when you start noticing that people are being dishonest with you, I think that poses a major problem, because then you have trust issues. Um, uh, Other things in terms of a healthy relationship, I would say that a person who is a good friend, or if you want to consider them a great friend, is a type of person who is there when you need them. And certainly I can speak from experience and find out. I think that there are people that you can almost put in different types of categories of friends. I think of the motivational speaker Les Brown. He talks about different types of friends he has, and he has different types of expectations for them. Certain types of friends he hangs out with, and they just go and hang out and just watch sports together, and that's all they do. And when they get together, they don't do anything else. They don't talk about anything else in life. They just will talk sports. And then other people, it might be somebody that you go and work out with. Other types of people may be that you do some other type of recreational activity with them. Then other people, you talk more, maybe a little more serious, and you talk with them more frequently. You have people who are friends that you speak to every day, as opposed to some people you only speak to maybe once a week, once a month. And that's one of the things that, to be honest, I've even struggled with, where I'll send a message to someone, I'll make a phone call to someone, and then I don't hear back from them. And you kind of say to yourself, why? Why would you not hear back, especially in 2019, when there's so many ways that someone can get in touch with another person? How busy are you exactly, when I know how busy I am? So there are a lot of different things. So responsibilities, it's a great word too, Esther, in terms of, almost like, what are the rules to a healthy relationship? I think one last thing that I would say with that is, if it doesn't feel right, then end it. If it doesn't feel right, something doesn't seem right about it, it may just be better to go a different way. There's only 7 billion people in this world. So don't feel like you have to be bogged down and stay with only one person, whether it be the person in a relationship or in a friendship. If it's toxic, it's toxic, and you may really need to move on. Adrian, what's your favorite instrument? Was it hard to practice it at the time? Okay, so just kind of like a random question. That's totally fine. My favorite instrument, it would kind of be a tie between the trumpet and the French horn. The trumpet's my main, but I love the French horn. Was it hard to practice at the time? Extremely difficult at first. And very, 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 very tough at first for me. For a lot of other people, not so difficult. So those are some of the questions that we've gotten from the chat so much. Carmen, thank you so much for joining tonight. Really appreciate you hanging with us for a while, and all the great input really means a lot. Thank you so much for that. Okay, let's take a look at some of these other questions that have come in here, that I've gotten from various people. All right, let's see what we got. Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit about this. Is a big one. All right. And I'm going to try to do a better job here. And I apologize. Got a little thrown off here by some of the nonsense we were dealing with in the chat. It looks like that's kind of subsided now, which I'm grateful for. So one of the excellent questions I received from one of my friends here has to do with anything relating to interviews. Okay. So one of the things that she had said to me was that she never learned in school how to dress, how to speak, and proper etiquette for interviews. So I'm just going to go through that. And this is an area that I absolutely specialize in, because these techniques just flat out work. And I really emphasize that you can always, of course, go back to the episode tonight, but I emphasize that you take some notes tonight. And if you're taking these notes, you can go back and review them, because again, I'm speaking. I can't type and speak and do all that at the same time here, chew gum. And but in terms of how to dress for an interview, I'm sorry, folks, but this whole concept of showing up at an interview with the ripped jeans, in a t-shirt, and this casual, that's nonsense. I'm sorry. That's just absolute nonsense. Now, I'm not saying that you need to be in a three-piece suit from the 1970s. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm not talking about women going out and buying a $400 business suit. That's not what I'm talking about. What I am saying, though, is you should dress well. You should dress as if you're going to a wedding. You should dress as if you go to church, how you would be dressing to go to church or some type of religious event. That's the way that you want to dress for an interview. Now, you don't have to be completely, totally overdone. My own personal belief, you want to know how I think any guy should dress for any interview. I don't care where you're interviewing. I think you should have a shirt on, a shirt. I hope you have a shirt on. You should have a button-down shirt on with a collar, not a polo. Okay, button-down shirt. In this particular case, even tonight, I got the long sleeves, went a little more formal for the 300th episode. I have a tie on. Okay, if you don't have a tie, you know me, you need a tie. I've got like 500 ties here. I'll be happy to loan you a tie. You can probably keep the tie. I have so many extras here. But if you want something badly enough like this, you have to at least dress the part and show the person that you're going to be interviewing with that you're serious about the position. Give them a reason right away, because you only get one time to make a great first impression. That's it. You only get one chance. You don't get a second chance to make a good first impression. So in terms of the guys, the tie, the shirt, some nice pants, you should not be wearing jeans. That's just how I am. If you at least do that, you should be okay. For me personally, I think that it's really, really important to be dressed in a suit for most things. And you know what? If you're overdressed, then you're overdressed. You know what? If somebody thinks you're overdressed, you know what they're also going to say in the back of their mind? Any sane manager, anyone who is doing the hiring is going to say, you know what? This person must be pretty serious. This person must really, really want this job. And even if they laugh, who cares? And like I say all the time, people are always going to judge you anyway. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you underdress, if you overdress, no matter how you look. In terms of hair, in terms of hairstyle, I think that you should be presentable. If you normally have a mohawk and you're able to, for at least the interview, kind of bring it down a little bit and bring it back, I would recommend doing that. I, for a long time, had a beard, and I had a beard for several years. I had a goatee for many years. I've gone through facial hair phases. And quite honestly, when I decided I was going to do some transitioning, especially with podcasting and doing more public appearances where I was going to be doing more motivational speaking, I said, you know what, I need to change my look. I need to change some things. So, what were the changes that I made in terms, and I'm thinking of interviewing here, folks, because unfortunately, it's the perception. Okay. So what did I do? I shaved the beard off. As many of you know, I lost 100 pounds this year, and I'm sorry, but people are going to sometimes judge you unfairly if you're overweight, and it's not fair, but that's life. Then they're going to say, well, I guess this person's overweight, so that means they must be lazy, which couldn't be further from the truth in a lot of cases. But unfortunately, some people will get that in their minds. I have the new haircut here. I mean, I went to a hair salon. I hadn't been to a hair salon in 20 years. I used to just do the buzz cut myself. And now, I got different things going on. I play around and the hair gets all wrecked with these headphones anyway. So I don't go crazy for the episodes, but I did do a little something tonight. And I don't think we have any hair sticking up tonight. No, I don't think so. Because one of my podcast regulars here went completely crazy over one of the hairs that was sticking up. But interview questions. Now, when you go to an interview, you need to know more about the company or the place where you want to work than the person interviewing you. Let me say that again, because it's worth repeating. You need to know more about their company, their business, their whatever, their place of employment than they do. Which means you should do obnoxious amounts of research. You don't have any excuses, my friends. You have the internet available. And if you can't find the answers on the internet, you know what you do? Let's say you're interviewing, for instance, for a fast food position. You say, oh, who really cares? Hey, listen, you never know where it's going to lead to. You never know who you're going to meet. So you need to go in there thinking that this is where you're going to be working for the rest of your life, because you never know the connections you're going to make. I learned that from too many people along the way. And I've had too many people I've met along the way with different jobs that I've had that many years later. I think of someone like Jared. Jared and I worked together for many, many years, and we hadn't talked to each other in many years. And here we are. And I mean, Jared's just an amazing, amazing guy. And he's had stuff that he's gone through in his life. I've had things that I've gone through in my life. And here we are all these years later. And the one thing that never changed is I know he's a great guy. And I'm so glad that we've reconnected in that type of way. But you understand? So if you're going to interview, let's say you're going to interview at a fast food place, Burger King. Okay. You're going to interview at Burger King and you don't know enough about Burger King. You know what you do? Call another Burger King up. Go into another Burger King, not the place where you're necessarily going to be looking for your job. Go somewhere else. Ask questions. What's going to happen? They're going to think you're nuts. Okay, fine. Then just leave and what? Call up the Burger King headquarters. They exist. Ask the people questions. Hey, when was your company incorporated? How many Burger King restaurants are there across the country? Just ask crazy types of questions. You want to be so prepared. So when you walk in that interview, anything that they could potentially ask you, you're going to be able to answer right away. But more importantly, what happens when they say to you, so what do you know about Burger King? Because I can tell you this much. I work in Union City, New Jersey, in their public school system, and I can tell you this much. When I was asked in my interview, what do you know about Union City? I had a laundry list, and it wasn't written down. It was right there. I did my homework, and I sat there and I rattled off a list of everything that I knew about the history of Union City, about the school district, about the community. Before I arrived to the interview, an hour before, I just took a drive around the city just to get an idea of what it looked like. These are the things that successful people do for interviews. This is the stuff that you need to do. What type of etiquette? After you answer the different types of questions. By the way, if you don't know the answer to a question, don't try to BS your way through it. Don't do that. Okay? If you don't know the answer, just be honest. Don't try to make something up along the way, and don't lie. There's people who are adept at what they're doing, they're going to be able to find out. And if they find out that you lied in an interview, you're done. You're done. If they find out that happened, if something doesn't match up. So don't try to make things up. All right? That's really, really important. For any interview, you should have questions ready to go to ask them when everything's all done. Most times they're going to say, do you have any questions for me? Is there anything that you would like to know? It doesn't matter how simple the questions are. You should have 2 or 3 questions that you should have at the ready. And there are a lot of different ways that you can go with those different types of questions. One question, very respectfully. So after this interview, what's the next step in the process? That's an appropriate question. An inappropriate question would be, so when are you going to pay me? Because I need my money. No, you don't take that type of tack. That's inappropriate for an interview. Okay, that type of pushy behavior. And again, I'm seeing more and more people who are walking these interviews, and I just it boggles my mind. I can't believe that people are actually pushy in interviews and saying, well, it has to be to my specifications. Well, you're the one who doesn't have the job. you're gonna meet the specifications of where we work, and that's how it's going to be. When the interview is over, oh yes, make sure that you get the contact information of the person who interviewed you. It's possible that you may have not received that contact information in advance. You may have been called in for an interview, but you were not told who was going to interview you, and you should try to ask that over the phone. And then before you leave the interview, ask for the person's email address. That's an appropriate way to contact them, or some type of contact information. The same day that the interview ends, you contact that person and you thank them. Now, you can do it over the phone, but it's really a lot better to do it over written communication, more specifically email. Just send them a quick email, very simple. Dear so-and-so, thank you so much for the opportunity to interview at your company, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Something along the lines. Keep it brief. People are busy. They don't want to see your chapter and verse, 5-paragraph long email. Okay, that part of the interview is done. They're moving on, but you got to say thank you. Okay, if you don't say thank you, and there are too many of you out there who don't, I'm just saying, you don't say thank you often enough when people do anything for you, and you need to get into that habit of saying thank you. So that's definitely something that I don't think is said enough in school. I think they'll say it in kindergarten and first grade. You need to say please, you need to say thank you. And then they never get into it again. All right. Another question I had from a different person, not from the chat today. How to communicate in the adult world in terms of sending a decent email that's to the point, but it's mature and well spoken. That's not easy. You can find that stuff online. I'm going to be pretty blunt. I'm pretty good at doing that. And I'm not saying this to brag, but listen, I've worked very, very hard to where I've gotten to. I mentor people. The reason why people hire me, and so many people hire me as a mentor, I mentor a lot of people right now. And the reason that I do that, that people stay with me, as a mentor, is because I'm able to provide these resources to them. So when it comes to something like that, I have those emails at the ready. I can send them to you instantly as to what a professional email needs to look like and how you can get it done. See the name of the podcast? That's why it is called what it is. All right, let's get to some more of your questions here. Thank you for being so patient here. We're going to be giving away those tickets soon. Okay. Michelle, what is required to get into college? And she says that she wants to be a teacher. All right, so we're going to hit these two, and I'm going to try not to go in too far with this. Okay. What is required to get into college? All right. Everyone, unfortunately, and I hate to say this, but college requirements have gone down. They've gone down because the colleges in general need students. It's just the reality. They need students. And I'm not talking necessarily about the Harvards and the Yales. They're always going to have students. They're always going to have people that want to make it into those schools. What I'm talking about those schools that are kind of maybe the for lack of a better word, like mid-level schools, or ones that are certainly lower enrollment schools. And unfortunately, they have dropped a lot of their requirements because, quite bluntly, they need the students so they can generate revenue. They can make money, and they need the money from those students. And that's just a fact. So The requirements to get into college have gone down, but in terms of what is required, well, the most basic thing, you have to have good grades. And I have people right now that I've taught this past year that seem to think that having 70s or having 80s, that those are good grades. They're not. They're not. And it means you're not working hard enough. And you need to do a reality check with whatever it is that you're planning on going to. Because you know what? If you only have a 70 or an 80 in your classes and you're not working hard now, what does it mean? Does that mean when you're 18 or 19, all of a sudden now you're going to start to work hard and you're just going to be making excuses? You're making excuses because you don't like a class. And I said it at the beginning of the podcast. Do you really think that I enjoyed every single class that I took? I don't like science. I know. Horror of horrors. I don't like science. Why don't I like science? I'm not good at it. I know I've never been good at it. Did I have to take science in college? Yes. Did I enjoy it? No, not at all. But I'll tell you this much. In my biology class, I knew it was going to be very, very challenging. I had to work my rear end off in it, and I got a 3.0 out of a 4.0. So I got kind of like a B plus in the class. But I did work very, very hard. Now, if I didn't work hard, I would have gotten like a D or like a 1.5 or something, or I may have just outright failed the class. There's also another option. The college doesn't care because they're getting your money no matter what. So the college, deep down, I'm not saying the colleges don't care, but when it comes to money like that, if you fail the class, they get their money anyway. So in that way, it does not really matter to them. So in terms of what you have to do as a student, you want to build your portfolio. Do not overload your portfolio. That is your resume and all the accomplishments you have. There are too many people, what they try to do, it's a huge mistake with young people. You try to do too much. And what ends up happening is this saying, you wind up becoming a jack of all trades and a master of none. So what does that mean? It means that you kind of know a little bit about a whole bunch of different things, but you're not great at any of them. You're just not. You're just, average or whatever at a lot of different things. And that's not good. That's just not a good situation. So in terms of what's required to get into college, you need to have a solid portfolio, solid resume. You are going to need letters of reference letters. You're going to need to find someone who's a mentor, a teacher that you really connected with well, someone who knows you well. If you have worked somewhere for like a year, you go to that employer and you ask them for a reference letter, a letter of recommendation. And how much time should you allow that person to give you the letter? You should give them at least a 1 week lead time. It drives me crazy when a student will tell me, "Oh, Mr. Rausenberger, I have a job interview tomorrow. Is there anything you can do to help me?" I mean, really? And it's possible that you did just find out about it, but that you just found out about the job interview, but you didn't just apply for it. It's very, very unlikely. And you definitely were seeking a job. If you're going to be seeking a job and you're planning on doing that, you need to get your ducks in a row. It means you need to contact all these different people and make sure that they know that you're going to be applying for jobs. When I've been at any point in my career, when I've been applying for positions, my references, the people that are going to be able to speak well about me, they know. I'll drop them a quick text, quick phone call. Hey, listen, just want to let you know, I'm in the process of applying for jobs right now. Just be kind of aware of that in case you get a phone call from some strange number or some strange person wondering and asking questions about me. And if I finished at a particular, whatever the job was or wherever place I wanted to work, and I just finished an interview, the second the interview finishes, right away, you immediately contact your references to say, hey, listen, just want you to know the interview just wrapped up, in case you get a phone call, which should happen in the next few days. So that's really, really extremely important. So, and Michelle, in terms of wanting to become a teacher, I'm not going to lie. You really need to be as well-rounded as possible. I think that's my best advice. There are too many teachers who simply are not well-rounded. I might be a music teacher, but I can help students in just about any subject because I work hard and I develop my brain and I'm trying to constantly learn. And when I don't know something, I'm usually able to refer the student in the right direction. When it comes to my craft, music, I work my face off to make sure that I'm current and I'm up to date. And I love learning from my students, and my students know that. So in terms of being a teacher, it can't just be that you love kids. I have people that will say that. That's not good enough. It just isn't. Because yeah, you love kids, but what's going to happen when there are things that go on in your classroom, and there are some things that the kids do that could easily make you not love them so much by their actions. And how are you going to handle those types of situations? What are your class management strategies going to be like? And it goes on and on and on. Being a teacher is not easy. And there are a lot of people who are not wired for it, and they're not cut out for it. And please do not go into teaching as a last resort. Not good. Please don't do that. Me as a teacher, I do not like that. Only people who get into teaching and because something else didn't work out, and I'm just going to teach because it's easy. It's nonsense. Okay. Esther asked, how do you avoid depression when you're in a really tough situation? It depends on every person. I'm not going to get into that one too much. And the reason why is because everybody's brain is wired differently. If you've never encountered adversity, that means really tough things in your life. If you haven't gone through real adversity in your life, and you, for lack of a better word, everything's been just all unicorns and rainbows your entire life, and everything's been wonderful, and you've never really experienced any type of death in your family, and you haven't had anything that's been traumatizing, and your car has never broken down, and you have the most amazing friends, and you haven't really gotten in any fights with anybody, then when you do have that difficult situation, you could really come crashing down hard, really, really hard. And a lot of times people don't know how to handle it. That's why one of the things I'll say to students is, if their life is difficult, I got to be really honest with you. If your life is difficult, in many ways, it can be a blessing. It can be a great thing if your life is difficult now, because as you do get older, you will learn from, I wouldn't say your mistakes, you'll learn from the situations that you had to go through, that you had to encounter, that you had to endure every single day. And say to yourself, I'm going to make sure I'm never in that situation myself. I am going to make sure that when I get married, or when I have children, or when I do get that first apartment or that first house, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to prevent the things that happened with me. And it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to prevent them, but you can try. So one of the things that makes me unique in a lot of ways is I have gone through unthinkable adversity. I've gone through the type of adversity I would not wish upon my worst enemies. I wouldn't. And people see me every day, and they see me with this smile, and they see me with this passion. And if you knew even a fraction of some of the things that I've gone through over the course of my entire life, I think a lot of people would really they wouldn't be able to handle it. And everybody goes through it, guys. We all do. And it's how you are able to handle the situation. There are some people, when it comes to things like depression and just mental health, the way that everything is wired up here, it's not their fault. There's just, they only have a certain amount of control over what they can and can't do. So I think there's a lot involved with that too. All right, let's see what other types of questions, if we have any other things here, because in the chat I haven't gotten anything for a little while. Jared, appreciate your input here in terms of the interview. Okay. All right. Michelle, just one thing too, that I see you say, I want to become a part of the educational system. Network. I think just in general, I think this is something that they do not teach you in school. You have to network with people. You have to know people. And if you're antisocial, that's fine. You can be antisocial and still network with people, but you absolutely, you must network. And what does that mean? It means that you reach out to lots of people that have common interests as you, that have certain types of passions that you do, and they don't need to be your best friends. That's not what it is. I look at a website like LinkedIn. Okay, so if we take something like LinkedIn, anybody can have a profile there. And, if you're over the age of 18, set up a profile. Just make yourself visible. You'd be amazed. Some of the people that I'm connected to on LinkedIn, and you just be able to speak with them. I mean, it's, and that's the greatest thing about being able to network and to make connections, and you never know where it's going to lead. So I know one of my students, one of my top music students of all time, when he was 14 years old, he said, what's going to be the key to my success and deciding to pursue this career in music, which he's doing right now? And I said, you gotta just get to know as many people as humanly possible and build good relationships with them. Does not mean best friends. It means you make a good impression on them when you're working with them in whatever the capacity is, that you are remembered as being a good person, as someone that is a team player, and you're not the jerk, and you're not the arrogant one, and you're not the impossible person. So okay, so another question I have here from Gabby. How do you calm down a person who's distressed and or crying? Great question. It's one of the best questions we've gotten here today, because it really applies to a lot of you. Okay? If you know the person well, here's what my recommendation would be. First of all, empathize with them. What does that mean? Explain. I understand. I'm so sorry. I feel so bad that you're going through this. Here's what you don't want to do. What you don't want to do is keep on bringing things up over and over and over. They're going to continue to bring that person down. So one of the things that you can do, and you don't do it instantly, but what I like to do, especially with students that are very, very stressed out or they're crying, listen, okay? Just be empathetic and just be an ear. And, if you have somebody who you're really, really close friends on, that literally you could be a shoulder that they can cry on. And then what I like to do is I like to try to find some type of positive, or very carefully kind of change the topic a little bit and try to get them focused on maybe something great that happened recently to them, or happened recently, happened throughout the course of the day. That's a great thing. Or you could even maybe talk about yourself, but be careful with that, because one thing that people don't like, especially when it comes to friendships, is when they have their own problem and then they go to talk to you to get your advice and time to help them, and then you just start talking about yourself. So if you can talk about yourself, and by the way, what Carlos says is so true. He's absolutely right. Comedic relief. And I will tell you one thing I know about Carlos that's absolutely true. is that he actually is really good at that. He can actually make someone laugh in that type of situation to try to cheer them up. Comedy is a great way to do it. I remember recently there was a student who was a little bit down about some things, and but that student was really into theater. And I thought of a TV show. By the way, if any of you out there are into the whole comedy thing, and you're into theater, one of the greatest shows of all time. There are tons of episodes on YouTube, and no, you don't have to watch the whole episode. You can watch little 3 or 4 minute clips. But and this is great because it was a family type of show. Is Whose Line Is It Anyway? That is a show, and I think it's on even like I think it's ABC Family, that network, that channel. It's on there, so that's a great one. But I will tell you this though, I have to go with a Tinting V16. I love Impractical Jokers. It was one of my favorite shows of all time, and I'll share with you how it's amazing when you can have a conversation with someone who is having a tough day. Many of you will know, and I'm still certified to be one. I haven't done it in a while, but I've been an Uber driver. And I kind of think of an Uber driver as being someone who's like a bartender, but you're driving. I think it's probably a good way. Someone who can sit there and listen to your problems and talk if you want to be talked to. I know that some of you get into Ubers and the person starts talking to you and you just want to tell them to shut up because you're not interested. And honestly, just politely say, I'm really busy right now. And the Uber driver usually will get it. But I remember I had a situation with a student. It was a college student. He was about 20 years old, and I could tell he was special needs. And thank you, Jared. But I could tell this person was special needs. And he was, I think, in some type of a college or something, and I had picked him up. He was not able to drive for whatever reason, but he was definitely autistic. Or he had Asperger's. And I picked him up. And we were driving for a little while, and I could tell within the first few minutes that he had, either autism or Asperger's, and it's very tough times, very difficult for him to socialize. And we were talking a little bit, and I had to drive him far, which I was personally happy about because it was a long fare. I was going to be getting a lot of money for it, but I had to drive him to Staten Island, and I hadn't driven to Staten Island in years. So I picked him up. And we started talking a little bit, and I was just making idle chatter. And I realized, I'm like, boy, this is going to be rough because this is a long ride. And I do like to talk, and usually I'm pretty good at transitioning and getting something that we can kind of talk about a little bit. And he didn't want to listen to music. I did ask him. And one thing led to another. I said, oh, Staten Island. And I said, you know what? I said, Staten Island. I said, one of my favorite TV shows features these guys on Staten Island. And his eyes, I can see in the rearview mirror, his eyes lit up. And he said, you mean Impractical Jokers? I said, yeah. I said, I love Impractical Jokers. And you know what he says to me next? He said, Sal Vulcano is one of the Impractical Jokers. He says, Sal's father was my bus driver at school. He said, I know all 4 of the Impractical Jokers. And it was the most awesome conversation the rest of the way. And I had this kid, he was laughing so hard. And I was laughing hard too, because we were going back and forth about some of our favorite episodes, just back and forth. And that was I have goosebumps thinking about that right now. It was such a wonderful, wonderful ride, a great experience. And it was so great because when he got to his destination, he said, it was really funny. We got to his house and he said, could you do me a favor? I said, sure. He said, could you drive around the block a few more times? And I never do this. And I said, why? He said, because I'm really enjoying the conversation. I said, no problem. So we just drove around the block a little bit more. I didn't even worry about the fare at that point. And, but that was cool. It was really, really neat. And, you just making those little transitions there. And I don't know what type of day he was had a very serious face. But like I said, everything lit up and it just totally made his day. So it's amazing. Comedy is really an amazing thing in that way. Okay. Cindy asked, how can I work on being friendlier and likable and not cause problems with people? Okay. I mean, and Cindy, I have to just say, and if this is specifically for you, I really give you a lot of credit for asking something like that. It takes a lot of courage to be able to just bluntly say, hey, this is my situation. It takes a lot of courage, and I appreciate the trust that you have in me to ask me that question and be able to just say it to a bunch of people in the chat, especially a bunch of whom are straight up strangers. So I think that that's really fantastic. So it says, okay, and I am sorry I didn't see this here because I was looking over here that you say you struggle with this. I think one of the most important things is to make sure that you are yourself. I think that you may have to step a little bit out of your comfort zone. I'll give you a classic example. Okay, I'll give you just an example from me. Okay, in ways that I've stepped out of my comfort zone. I can't dance. I just can't dance. Yes, I'm ignoring it. I'm going to keep on ignoring it, Esther. I'm sorry. That's right. I'm just going to keep on ignoring it. Yeah, I can't dance. And I am not someone who's into like the whole theater acting thing. It's just not been my thing ever. I had to step out of my comfort zone a little bit. And that's something that you may need to do, Cindy, just a little bit. And it doesn't mean to change yourself. You're still true to yourself and you're true to who you are and, not doing a full-blown change. But one of the things that I did recently and people I think have really enjoyed is I play in 10 Till 2, this cover band. And I have had to do things on stage that I've never done in my life. And here's what's interesting. They've not necessarily been things that I've been asked to do. They're just risks that I've taken myself where I step out of my comfort zone. Classic example of something I never, ever would have done even a year ago. One of our tunes is Havana, which I know there's a lot of you out there don't really like the tune Havana, but it has a very, very big trumpet solo. And at our most recent performance that we just did, we did it at a very, very ritzy area of Connecticut. And it was the very, very early on, the first half hour was very dead. There just wasn't much going on, and it was sweltering. It was so hot outside. It was an outdoor gig. And what I did was when we got to Havana, I looked at the rest of the band. And I said, do you want me to go down? Because I usually will step out of the band when I do the trumpet solo. And they said yes. And I typically was going to do that. The only problem is that the area where I was playing, there was no one there. And there were people that were off to the side quite a bit. And I moved fast. And I just found this table with like 15 people. And I would have stood on the table. I wouldn't care. But I was just afraid of the table breaking, not because of my weight, just because the table was really flimsy. But I just got onto I put my leg up onto a chair and I just serenaded everyone with a solo. And it was just and it brought people who had been seated, it brought them to us. And that kind of, again, took me out of my comfort zone. It's something that I typically would not do. Cindy, one of the other things that I started doing was I just simply said hello to people all the time. There's one thing that separates me from a lot of other teachers. I don't know why. I don't have an answer for that. But here's what I know is that when I walk into a room and people walk in with me, I always say hello, and I always say hello to them by name. I go out of my way to do that. And just simply doing that and just giving a smile can go a really long way, especially because I have a serious face on a lot of times and people can misread me. because I have a very serious face with almost everything that I do. So I think people feel comfortable around me, but not necessarily by looking right here all the time. And it's something where I'll even have students that will, yo, will you smile more? All right. All right, there you go. Okay. There. So, but yeah, I think that if you can do that, I think just a simple thing is just saying hello to people and just start a conversation about anything. And I think one other thing too, Cindy, and for everybody else out there, understand there are going to be people that don't want to talk to you. Don't worry about it. Don't take it personal. I think that's the other thing. Don't take it personal. Man, I mean, Cindy, if I took things personally that people say to me all the time, I mean, if I've heard it once, I've heard it 1,000 times of people who tell me how much they hate classical music. I'll hear it over and over. I love classical music. It's just who I am. I'm not going to change. That's me. That's one of my things. And the only thing, it's not the only thing that defines me, but I have my moments where I put on that style of music that I love. It is what it is. And I can absolutely get anyone into classical music if you give me the chance. I can find something that you're going to say, oh, I do like that. You know, it's hard for me to admit it, but I do like that. But I don't get upset when people say, oh, classical music sucks. Oh, I hate classical music. It's so boring. Ugh. And I hear that a lot, and I don't take it personally though. Okay. And, I think the kill him with kindness type of thing is a good way to go. I remember, and I'll never forget this too. Cause I also, Cindy, I think that, one thing I can also tell you is I'm a very big believer in karma. So I think that some of these people that are not so nice, that karma comes back to bite them. And I remember, that, I don't know why I thought of this recently. Some people will know, and I'm going to do an episode on this soon, by the way. I play poker, and I love to play poker, period, end of story. I'm not a gambler. I am not a gambler, but I love poker. And let me tell you something. One of the greatest feelings in the world is when someone trash talks you at the table. And I've had it so many times where someone will trash talk me and they'll sit there and tell me, oh, you suck. And I remember this one table that I played at. I don't, let me think. Let's see, it would have been 8 years ago. It was 8 years ago. There was this one table I played at, and this guy was verbally abusive to me. I mean, this guy was brutal, was absolutely, totally, and completely brutal. So the bottom line is that in the end, and this was the thing that did it, Cindy, because I want to just wrap up before I move on to the next question. The thing that did it, though, was where he really crossed the line, and he started calling me fat boy. And I mean, you know, I was overweight. I mean, it is what it is, but it still hurts. You don't like to hear that. It's not nice. There's no call for that. There's no need to be going there. And, you know, you want to make fun of me and you don't like whatever, but now you start going about my appearance. It has nothing to do with the game. And, you know, in the end, that was one of my biggest cashes. I had come in second in that tournament. It was like for like 27,000 or something. And it was one of it was my first really big victory of sorts, even though I didn't take first place. I took second, but it was a very, very big deal for me. And I just remember watching his walk of shame when he busted out of the tournament. And I just didn't say anything. I just kind of laughed to myself. But the point that I'm trying to make is that you have to be prepared and understand that there are going to be a lot of people out there that don't like you, and that's okay. That's totally and completely fine. But again, I said it earlier, there's like 7 billion people out there. So if you don't meet someone, just move on to the next person. You don't like them, move on to the next person. And right now, the environment that you're in wherever it is, whether if it's a school or if it's particular classes or if it's wherever you live, you might need a change. And right now, it's just something you have to kind of work through to the best of your ability. A tinting. Did I win? No, I didn't win that tournament. I will tell you that I did win a tournament, and I believe the year was 2015. If you Google me and you look up 2015, or you just look up poker, the first thing that comes up is me winning a championship, which I'm pretty proud of that. All right, let's see what else we have here in terms of questions and things, life skills. And we have those tickets that are right around the corner here. Appreciate it. Yes, I absolutely would be happy to help you win at poker. We can certainly sit down and I'd be happy to teach you. All right, let's see some of these other things that came in here about life things. All right. Hang on a second. Let's see what we got here. All right. Another thing about applying for jobs. I had a student recently really wanted a job badly. And I said to them, I said, how many places have you applied? And they said 7. And I didn't say anything. And I said, okay, well, what happened with all 7 places? Well, I didn't hear back from them. Okay. Here's a cold hard reality, folks. And this is something you're not going to learn in school. That is common, extremely common. I had a person I mentored last summer. And at the beginning of the summer, the person hired me because she had applied for, I think it was jobs in 12 different school districts and had not been called by any of them. And she became really, really upset, very, very distressed, and said, this is never going to work out. And here's what I said, very, very simply. Okay, this is what I said. I said, you need to apply to more jobs. Are you kidding me? I said, you should have applied to 200 jobs by now. She's like, what? I said, yeah. I said, do you have a job right now? She said, no. I said, well, guess what your full-time job is right now? Your full-time job is applying for jobs. That's what your full-time job is. Your full-time job is not, you're not doing anything right now. And if you want it badly enough, you've got to keep on applying, keep on applying, keep on applying. I mean, if I go back in my computer, and I'm just talking about my computer in terms of the past decade or so of different things that I've applied for, it's like over 500 different things I've applied for. That's not conservative. I know, because I've cover letters for all 500 places. And I know which ones got back to me and which ones didn't. I took notes on every single opportunity. And not all of them were music. There were things that I had applied for. There were things that I wanted to do that didn't have anything to do with music at all, because there's more to me than just music. And there are things that I've applied for that have nothing to do with teaching, that I've done to supplement my income. So I apply for anything and everything. What do you have to lose? Just get the application out there. Now, what you have to do is you have to follow up. So with one particular student, one of the places that she wanted to work was a very, very big company. Okay, it's a very, very big company. And what she didn't understand was that even though this was one store of many in the company, what she didn't understand was that the application basically just went into this massive database, and there were hundreds of people that applied for this one job. And how do you stand out? You need to be persistent to the point of almost being a pain in the neck. You want to look up something, you want to be inspired, I'll tell you something to be inspired. And I've sent this to too many of this is one of the first assignments I give to anybody who wants to be mentored by me. You look up a video by Les Brown and just type in, you got to be hungry. And one of the first things that's going to come up is going to be a video that's about 5 minutes long or so. And he talks about the lengths that he went to get his first job. I mean, goes through insane lengths to get the job. And he had to take a much lesser job to ultimately get to where he wanted to be. But if you watch that, I mean, if you're not inspired after you watch that, I don't know what to tell you. You don't have a pulse. Okay. So it's really, really, really important that you understand that, I mean, you have to, like I said, it has to be obnoxious amounts of preparation, obnoxious amounts of persistence, and you have to be able to speak to the right people, not speaking to people on the front lines, which is now going to bring me to my next question, which is, how do you get better customer service when it comes to companies? I'm not going to go into all of my secrets. I'm not ready to do that quite yet. Okay. Because I know how to do it. I definitely figured out how to do it. Here's what I can tell you. Whenever you're speaking to customer service anywhere, and you get the first person on the phone is probably making the least amount of money in that company, or they're making, in terms of the chain of command on the phone, they're going to be the person that's paid the least. Don't attack them. You can be firm. There's nothing wrong with being firm, but don't attack them, and make sure to use the line in there. I'm not here to kill the messenger, or I'm not personally attacking you. I can't tell you how many people will be on the other line and they feel like you're personally attacking them. Don't do that. Okay. What you do is you say to them, listen, you need to understand, I'm very, very upset right now. Please understand that everything I'm saying, don't take it personal. It's not a personal attack against you. I know that you're just doing your job to the best of your ability. You sound like a really nice person. Let me tell you something. You do that, that's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. I mean, that's just a really, really great thing to say. So that's going to make, it's probably going to increase your chances of getting the customer service you need. And when it came to that particular student with that company, what I did to help my student that I was mentoring, I actually got the ball rolling. I called the company myself. And I said, listen, I just wanted to let you know, I just got somebody on the front lines, had a nice conversation with them. And I had asked for the information. They didn't seem to have it at the time. And I talked a little bit more. Then I said, listen, I got to tell you, nothing for nothing. I have someone who had applied to your company. This is your best candidate. I'm just telling you right now, it's your best candidate. You're not going to find anybody better, more responsible. And next thing you know it, they said, you know what? I think I have the email address or the phone number of this person. Try calling this person. And then everything started to fall into line. And ultimately, the person was able to land an interview and has not ultimately made their decision as to what they're doing. But the point is that I was able to help them kind of get the ball rolling. Now, I don't, as a mentor, I don't do all the work to that extent typically. But in this particular case, this was something where the student wasn't quite prepared to make that type of call, and I think needed a little bit of help in that regard, and I was happy to do so. So let's see what other questions we have here. Okay. Very good. Okay. Just looking. Let's see what other types of, any other questions we have here that I haven't met. Oh, I know Esther asked a question. Esther, can you please, I'm ready to answer your question, Esther. I know that you had a question. Oh, here we go. How do you become an actress without going to college? Is that the question? Okay, Esther, I just have to make sure. I'm just looking at it. Esther, the only way that I'm going to be able to answer this, because I just have to let everybody know that I know there are a lot of people in here that do speak other languages. So, Esther, the only way that I'm going to be able to answer that, you got to help me out here tonight, and I'm going to do my best to pronounce it too. I need you to take that question, and can you please put it into Spanish? And a tinting, I did receive them, but I have not had a chance to listen to them yet, and I will. And I appreciate your patience that I had a lot of planning I had to do for this particular episode. Remember, again, this is right around the corner, folks. And I got the other one right next to me. This is going to be given away very, very, very soon. These Six Flags tickets. All right. So, Esther, I need it in Spanish. It's the only way that I'm going to be able to answer it. I'm just going to get a little bit of the, again, for those of you that are wondering, what is the mystery beverage? We have in here, I can't open it up or spill everywhere. The canister part here, but inside I have beet powder, I have vanilla protein powder, I have green powder, which is basically vegetables, and I have some fruit punch flavored stevia. So that's basically the entire thing. Oh my goodness, Dante has arrived. My night is now complete. Dante is here. Here it is. Here we go. All right, now, as I've told my students before, when I try to do it and I try to speak with my pale white skin here, it can get to be ugly. So I'll try that first. Okay. Okay. All right, so como me convierto en una actriz sin ir al colegio. How did I do? How was that? I'll try it again. Como me convierto en una actriz sin ir al colegio. How did I do? How did I do? All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate the feedback. Okay. All right. Here we go. Ready? Now I'm going to do it. Now, thank you very much. I appreciate the text I just received from somebody about saying my Spanish is atrocious. My Spanish is not atrocious. Okay. Because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it. They have this network. They say they call it Telemundo, or I'm sorry, less on the T. Telemundo. Did I do better? Telemundo? Is that better? Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it. I'm going to try to do it in that voice. All right. Let's give it a shot. Are we ready? Here we go. Here we go.
¿Cómo me convierto en una actriz sin ir al colegio?
Any better? Talk to me. Is it still really bad?
Buenas noches.
Any good? Okay. No? Jared's laughing at me. What's going on? Better. Okay. Esther says better. That actually did sound better. Okay. So pronounce the G as an H. Colegio? Is that it?
Colegio.
Is that right?
Colegio.
Okay. Should I do it faster? Can I do it one more time? And should I do it faster? That's what I need to know. Talk to me. Say it as fast as I possibly can. I need the feedback. Yes? Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. I'll try it one more time. Here we go. Oh, boy. Any of you who want to teach me to speak Spanish properly? Okay, here we go. Mucho mature. Okay, here we go. And here it comes.
¿Cómo me convierto en una actriz sin ir al colegio?
How was that? How was that? I think so. Come on, talk to me. Come on, how was that? Please, give me some props. Give me some props. OMG, yes. Good. Come on, talk to me. Give me I need the support. Great. Carlos only says good. Dante says 9 out of 10. Oh, you're killing me, guys. We're going to do an episode. I think we have to do an episode in Spanish. I think we're going to have to do a Spanish episode. All right. Okay. I did amazing. Yes. Thank you. All right. Okay. So now I have to actually answer the question. All right. All right. So Esther's question, how do you become an actress without going to college? Colleges are going to hate me for this. There are a lot of careers that you can potentially pursue that you just don't need to be in college. I am going to be totally honest with you. You just really don't need to be in college for a lot of occupations. And acting is certainly one of them. You can absolutely be a very, very successful actor or actress without going to college. But here's the one thing that a lot of people fail to realize. If you don't go to college, that's not the end of the world. But one of the reasons why we go to college is to further our education and to get things going in the brain. Now, if you are a student who is actively involved in lots of different things in school, it could be sports, it could be music, it could be different types of clubs or activities, along with doing well in your various academics. And then on top of it, outside of school, you're doing things to expand your brain, i.e., not just sitting around watching Netflix and binge watching, not sitting around and watching mindless, brainless YouTube videos all day, not playing video games for 9 hours. I love video games. I love video games. I don't play them for 9 hours a day. I just don't. You can't. I mean, you can. And yes, it's going to do certain things for your brain, but come on, let's be real now. And when it comes to these great actors and actresses, you know, they on command can do impressions. They on command can speak in different languages. I mean, we laugh about my Spanish right now, but if I really wanted an acting job badly, I'm going to make sure I get really, really good command of the languages, or at least speaking them well, having really, really good diction. I'm going to make sure that I do that. When you go to something like I was talking about preparing for an interview before, you should know more about the job than the person who's interviewing you. So when it comes to something like movies, you should be able to, if somebody says a movie to you, especially any type of famous movie, you should know who all the actors, or not all, in some cases, maybe all, but you should know who the main actors, main actresses are in that particular movie. You should know something about the plot. You should know about where it was set, what year it was filmed, what was involved in the making of the movie, how much was the budget. I mean, my friends, I've never once, not once in my life, have ever done anything involving film production or anything having to do with pursuing anything in the movies. Look at all the information I just gave to you. For me, that's just common knowledge. I just happen to know that. Why? Because I've looked this stuff up before. And I'm going to say it once. I'm going to say it again tonight. I'm going to say it until I die. You have no excuses. None. Because there are people in this chat right here who didn't have the internet, and they become wildly successful. And all through college, I didn't have Google available to me when I was attaining my 188.5 credits over a 4-year span. And I was living in a music building from 8 a.m. to midnight every single day for 4 years. I didn't have this stuff available. You don't have an excuse. You can get off of this particular, you can leave now. And I'm not going to be offended or anything. And start, if you want to be an actress, then you should be spending obnoxious amounts of time researching, watching famous movies, if someone says to you, who are the main players on Whose Line Is It Anyway? It's a big problem when you don't know what a player is. What's a player? A player is, in this case, an actor. Okay, who were the actors on there? Wayne Brady, Colin Mockery, Ryan Stiles, and the main host for a long time, Drew Carey. And who was the other person? It rotated every show. I haven't watched, I watched it recently, but I haven't really watched that show in a long time. And I know that information. So if you're going to, you want to be going into acting, you want to go into something like acting, forget about college just for a second. You need to know that information, because any college that's going to want you, any type of place where you're going to be auditioning for something, this stuff has to be common knowledge. It needs to be as simple as A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It needs to be just like, it's like that muscle memory. It's like the brain memory. It just flows out of you. Just like for me, anything having to do with music just flows out of me. You ask me something about chemistry, not so much. Just not so much. It's not my strength. All right, let's see what else we have here. Okay. All right. Let's see what else we have here. Okay. All right. Do we have any other questions and things I have not addressed here? Hopefully I hit everything else. I have a question. Okay. All right. We are coming very, very, very close to these tickets here. Coming very, very close. All right. Okay. All right. The question from a tinting V16. Feel too ambitious, and I want to do way too many things. I'm consistently indecisive. I can never ground myself and focus on one thing. That's a great observation, and I think that what that has to do with a tinting is that has to do with time management. And what I encourage you to do, I'm going to answer this very simply because we're going to be giving away these tickets in a second. Okay. But what I would say is that for a tinting, I would strongly recommend that you look up anything. I've had my own episodes that I've done, but anything that has to do with time management, and I think that's the biggest thing. Is that if you can work on and not just things having to do with just focus, but I think just the time management piece in general, I think you're going to find that you are going to be able to be more decisive on things when you can manage that particular skill, and a lot of that is out there. So yeah, okay. I got one more, and then we're going to be doing our tickets again. To qualify, you need to, of course, have chatted in the chat here. One thing I just want to say, just again on a side note, and it's unfortunate, it is what it is, and this is what happens sometimes with episodes. But if anyone, I certainly would welcome any type of information. I can do my own due diligence, and I'm going to be at the end of the episode. But again, people who make decisions to be disruptive in episodes, unfortunately, there are consequences and legal ones that are involved. So if anyone does have any information, particularly about anyone who's in here, we already have some pretty good information as to who these people are. But any information you can provide directly to me would mean a lot to me and help me. And of course, that will be in total confidentiality. So I really do appreciate that. Thank you for your help. Okay. One more thing here. Just some tickets. Let's see what we got. Here we go. This is great. This came from one of my colleagues at school. All right. Huge. How are you supposed to handle money? This is the biggest problem. It's the biggest conundrum for everyone in the world. How are we supposed to handle money? And what that means is that you get money, and what are you supposed to do with it? And a lot of people don't know. Some people will say to save money. Okay, well, and then you may say to yourself, well, save it for what? Here's the way that I kind of look at it in terms of saving money. All right, let's just take bare bones here, okay? Wherever it is that you're going to be living, okay, wherever it is that you're going to be living, if you're planning on moving into a place, or you're planning on getting your own apartment, or you want to get a house, whatever the case may be, you should have a lot more money saved, because things are going to go wrong. You can't, I shouldn't say you can't live paycheck to paycheck. It's just about impossible, though, and be somewhat happy, because you're going to be stressed at all times if you're living, what they call paycheck to paycheck. And if that's the case, you have to do anything and everything in your power to try to change your situation. Now, whatever that means, if it means you have to work a second job, if it means that you have to change jobs, whatever the case may be. But if you're in that type of situation, you need to make that change. I met somebody this summer who is looking to professionally advance themselves, is in a teaching position right now where they've been very comfortable for many, many years, but they've made this decision and said, quite honestly, you know what? I am really, really good at what I do. I don't want to be settled in this school district for the rest of my life. I'm looking to maybe move on. And what we call that very simply is professional advancement. It just means that you are looking to move up in the world. And let's be really honest, be paid for what you do. If you're really good at what you do, you should be paid accordingly. What we would like to believe, and what should be happening as we get older, is we should be paid more and have to work less. That's ultimately what you should be able to do as you get older, not be paid less and have to work more, especially when we get up there in age. We'll tend to be a little more ambitious when we're in our 20s and 30s rather than we get into our 50s, 60s, and unfortunately, a lot of senior citizens out there who have to work many, many hours. But in terms of handling money, I think there are too many people who take the money and they quickly spend it on things that they don't need. I rarely treat myself to things. I buy things specifically that I need. What are things that I need? I actually just purchased a brand new lighting setup for my podcasts, and it was a little too risky to set up for tonight. Luckily, the lighting has worked out very, very well for tonight, but when I do go on the road, I've had some lighting issues. So I'm making an investment in myself and in my podcast, and it's not something that I'm buying for fun and games per se. All right. So I think that a lot of people, in terms of, I see that the question here was how to handle money, like how to save. I think that what you need to do is, it's not necessarily just about investing in 401ks, and some of you don't even know what that is or what that means. And certainly you can get educated on that stuff as well, and that's totally and completely fine. But I think just basic bare bones. I think that people, what you need to do is you need to prioritize where the money is going and really truly develop a plan. And you need to do that now. I don't care what age you are. You need to start doing that now. One of the reasons I've always been good with money was because I was a paper boy when I was 10 years old, and I had to pay bills when I was 10 years old. I had to give money that I collected from my customers. I had to give the money to the person I got the papers from, and then whatever money I had left over, I got to keep. So if I was getting tips, I'm like, this is great. I get to keep this money. So it made me want to be a better paper boy. When I was only 10 years old. So I learned money management at a very young age. So I think that's something to keep in mind. And unfortunately, in a school, you could take a financial literacy class. It's required. I don't know if it's required in all states. I know it's required in New Jersey to take. There's only so much they're able to cover. And some of the things that they may cover may not be relevant to life, may not be relevant to your particular situation. It is time at this point. Like I said, we're not going till the very end of the episode. We are now going to be giving away the Six Flags tickets. These Six Flags tickets. Are we ready? Are we ready? Have you already liked the episode? Have you already done that? Are you already a subscriber? Because that is absolutely necessary in order to get these. No drum rolls yet, not with this one. Okay, we got a little bit of business to tend to here before I go and give these bad boys away. $175 here that I'm holding in my hands. $175 I'm holding in my hands. Okay, here's what you got to do right now. Okay, to be considered, and you got to do this right now, and you're gonna have to stop what you're doing with this particular episode. You're probably gonna have to actually like open up another window or something, if you're able to do so. But what I'd like you to do right now is go to every single episode. I want you to go to every episode that you can that you haven't already been to, and I want you to go and bang some like buttons right now, because I am able to track that information on there. I want you to, at the bare minimum right now, I need you to bang the like button right now and go to 10 different episodes of mine. Now, if you've already done this, you already have a leg up on everyone else. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time. If you got to jump out of here for right now and go do that, go for it. Come on back. And we'll kind of be tracking over here. We're going to be looking, because I have a little window off to the side here that you cannot see, but I can see as to who has hit the like button on the episodes. So make sure to do that. You will have had to have done some chatting in here. I'm going to be very, very honest with you. People that are going to have an advantage are the ones who've been more involved in tonight's chat. That has not been a requirement in the past, but it's going to be a requirement for tonight. And I'm kind of taking notes here. Alice has been working very, very hard to try to figure that out too, to figure out who it is that's going to be deserving of this amazing gift. Again, these 2 tickets came from an angel, someone who does not wish to be identified, but someone who just wanted to give back, believes in the podcast, believes in the types of things that I'm doing each week. Again, how did this whole entire episode come about? This episode came about out of my own anger. That's the word, anger. I was not happy and I was upset. There are so many people who struggle with so many different things in life and things that are not covered in school. And every single thing that we talked about tonight, everything that we talked about tonight is not covered on an everyday basis in school. We don't hate on the schools. We don't think that schools are terrible in every way, shape, and form. Every school district is doing what they believe in their heart of hearts is the best in the interests of children. There is accountability in schools. There are many different I's that need to be dotted, T's that need to be crossed, and things that they're needing to satisfy. And school districts are under their own pressure from states and departments of education across the United States to satisfy those requirements. We don't have to agree with all of them, but to just hate on the schools is unfair. Are there school districts out there that can be doing a better job in some of these areas? 100%. There are people that are not doing a great job in the classroom. It is what it is. The student that I had to mentor with the job situation, not somebody in my current district or anything like that, but somebody from another state altogether. They had taken a financial literacy class, and the place where they were interviewing for the job, there was a financial component with the job, yet the person didn't learn those. These are basic skills, and these are things that they should have learned when they were in high school, and they did not. And it's really, really unfortunate. So I'm going to wait here just another maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes or so. Julian, welcome. Great to see you here. And then we're going to be very, very close to deciding our winner. So appreciate you guys doing the like. Again, if you can be so kind tonight, when the episode is all finished, this episode, especially the live episodes, if you can do me a massive favor and go to the live episodes and put comments, because the live episodes are really long and I only have so much time myself But if you know of a specific spot in the episode, like there is like something, a bit of advice that you happen to hear in one of the live episodes, longer ones that happens at the 45-minute mark, you guys are, a lot of you are very YouTube savvy, and you can put in the comment at the 45-minute mark, Mr. R, Tim, Mr. Rausenberger, whatever you want to call whatever you want to call me, that he mentions this, and this is great advice. That really, really helps me. In a perfect world, all of my episodes, I will have had them down to the minute as to everything that I talk about. But again, I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to improve all the time. And anything you can do as faithful and loyal listeners will really help me out. Okay, time has come. We have compiled all the information, and I'm so grateful that we have so many people here. A big hello to the great Alexa, who is back. I love saying Alexa. Alexa, I have not shared this with you, but in my other room, I have an Amazon Echo. So I have to actually turn it off when I do the episodes. I never told you that. I have to actually turn off the Alexa because I don't want the thing to start talking to me in the middle of the podcast. So I thought that you might enjoy that. I never told you about that. But Gabby, good to see. I know you've been here. Charlize, I'm glad that you've been here all night. Julian, thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad that you were able to be a part of this. And again, many, many thanks to so many of you out there that support the Getting It Done podcast episodes. All right, so here we go. We actually are at the 2 hour mark, but of course you will have had to have done those different types of things. And if you came a little bit on the late side, then you probably don't know what to do at this point. I can't help you at that point. So we are not going to do a drum roll this time. I'm just going to have to do it a little bit different tonight. So the winner, with no drum rolls tonight. We're not doing any drum rolls. We're not doing it. All right, maybe a little one. Okay. All right. Let's see what we have here. Okay. All right, here we go. We have compiled everything here. We have taken a look at the chat. We've taken a look at all the likes. The winner of these Six Flags tickets, the two of them, our big winner and the person who has won, you need to send an email. As Alice is going to type in the chat right now, you need to send an email. The only way you can get these tickets, you need to send an email to gettingitdonepodcast@gmail.com. Simple as that. That's where we are located. So gettingitdonepodcast@gmail.com, all one word. And you need to give me your full name, first and last name. You do have to give me your address, phone number. If you're under the age of 18, you absolutely still qualify, but you do have to list, in that case, if you are under the age of 18, you do have to list a parent or guardian who you live with. And obviously I would have your email address. It's the only way that you can claim your tickets. And hopefully that person, the winning person, will send me that. And then you'll have a great time at Six Flags. And I'll get these two as quickly as humanly possible. So with, again, no drum roll, our winner of these two Six Flags tickets is Michelle Gallegos. Congratulations, Michelle. And I am so happy for you. You have been such a dedicated listener. You have been someone who has been so involved in the chat, and I appreciate all that you have done to support behind the scenes as well, including tonight. So thank you so very much. Very, very well deserved. And the great thing about this is there was nothing random about this at all tonight. We certainly took everything into consideration. Guys, we appreciate that you've been involved in the chat tonight. I do have a quick question. Do we have any last-minute questions that any of you would like answered, because I'm happy to answer them before we wrap up the podcast here. This has been an amazing podcast. It's been a great episode, number 300. So if you have any things that you'd like to contribute, or any other questions that you have before we wrap it up here, please feel free to type them into the chat. Again, the whole topic tonight has been life skills and all the different things that you have not learned in school, having to do with college or high school, middle school, elementary school, any of these different types of places. One thing I want to say on a side note, some of you have asked me and said, what does it take and what do I have to do to retain your services as a mentor? I will tell you that to the people who I do serve as a mentor, I have very, very strict rules. And the people who have been successful under my tutelage, I'm very, very proud of them, but they followed everything that I've asked them to do. So that's one of the things that you have to understand. Anybody who is a good mentor they're going to have specific tasks and things that have to be accomplished, and I have my own. If you are interested in retaining my services as a mentor, though, please do contact me. There's so many different ways you can get a hold of me. You can email me, of course, to gettingitdonepodcast@gmail.com. You can contact me, of course, through Facebook. I do have the page, the Getting It Done page on Facebook. If you just look up my name, you can send me a message through Facebook at any time. That's there 24 hours. It's always there. As always, this is especially directed to the students, people under the age of 18. You can certainly absolutely contact me, but please, again, keep things professional, and please understand that if it is a conflict of interest situation, then it may just not be possible to be able to serve as your mentor. So just want you to know all that information. So we have a few different questions here that I'm going to wrap things up, give you guys a little bit of bonus time today, So what we got here? Charlize is back. What is the best way to acknowledge your accomplishments? That is a fantastic question. That is hard. That's really, really hard to basically brag about yourself. Like, how do you do that? What a great question. I'm not pausing because I'm not sure of the answer. There are several ways that you can do it. All right, first of all, like, for instance, I have a LinkedIn profile, and just simply, if I think about my LinkedIn profile, it has all of my accomplishments listed right there. So that's self-explanatory. Another thing that you can do is you can ask someone else to do something on your behalf. So in my case, for instance, if you go to my LinkedIn profile or you go to other types of places, you can see people who have provided feedback and have said, Mr. Rausenberger served as my child's tutor, or Mr. Rausenberger was so inspirational for whatever the case may be. And I have asked people to do that. I'm in the process of finalizing my website once and for all. And I've gotten video testimonials from people, and I've asked them directly. I said, can you do me a favor? I did X, Y, and Z for you. Could you do me a favor and do a video testimonial for me? That goes a long way. So then you don't have to you can get other people to be able to tout you and be able to say your accomplishments, so you don't look like you're coming off as being egotistical. What I try my best to do when I speak to students, when I speak to people, is I say, I'm saying this and I don't mean to brag, but at the same time, hold on a minute. I will talk about my accomplishments, and I'll also say, you know what? I worked hard, and I'm not ashamed to say that I accomplished this, this, and this. I am not going to apologize for being a great mentor, not a good mentor, a great mentor to people. And I am always available for my students. I always have been. I always will be. It's the way that I'm wired. I don't know any other way. And when a student needs my help, and when a close friend needs my help, I'm always there for them to help them in any way. So let's see what else we have here. Julian, what is the number one thing you wished you learned in high school? Wow. That I wished I learned in high school. I have to think about that for a minute. Actually, no, I don't have to think any longer. I wish I'd learned how to write. Now, I consider myself to be a pretty good writer now, but when I graduated high school, I could not write an essay if my life depended on it. And I'm so grateful for, I'll be forever grateful to the greatest roommates in the world in college who helped me to become a better writer. They did. My friends who were the same age as me, 18, 19, 20 years old at the time, and they sat down. They're like, Tim, what are you doing? Let me show you. You need to substitute this word. Now this grammar is a disaster. Your syntax doesn't make any sense here. And I became a better writer. I started reading a lot more. As I've told my students, I always seem to get those language arts, those English teachers that were on the brink of retirement, and they were just burnt out, and they just were not passionate about what they were doing. So that's the one thing that I wish I'd learned in high school, was just how to write. I did writing, but I wasn't very good at it. And I wished I had learned that in high school. And I hate to say it, but for all of the intense things that I'm seeing with so many students out there, and the intensity that so many school districts are spending on writing, I hate to say it, but there are a lot of people that just cannot write well at all. I think one of the most important things to writing well is you have to read, and you have to read a lot. And if you don't like to read books, that's okay. I'm not a big book reader myself. I read lots of things online, just reading news articles, reading sports. If you love sports, I read sports all the time. If you take like an ESPN article, a lot of it will have very detailed vocabulary. You can learn a lot and become a better writer just by reading an ESPN article about, an article about LeBron James or about Michael Jordan. You can learn a lot that way. Let's see what else we have here. Just wrapping a few things. Charlize, what is the best way to get your parents to understand things you like? Oh, wow. That's quite a question. I don't know if that's something you struggle with. I think you'd be direct with them. I think that you'd be direct and make sure that they know how passionate you are about something, and they may not agree with you. You can't get anyone to do anything. You can't force a person. It's like that saying, you can take a horse to water, but you can't force the horse to drink it. And in terms of education and in terms of music, I'm very, very passionate about it. Luckily, I've had incredibly supportive parents. Do they really understand everything that I'm doing with music? Do they understand everything about education? They don't. It doesn't make them bad people. They've been supportive, but they don't completely understand what I do. So when I talk to my parents, to be fair, I really don't get into very, very detailed information. I mean, I have incredible stories I have every single day that occur in the classroom, but I don't come home and, I talk to my parents just about every day and say, oh, well, this happened in school today, and this happened in school, and this happened in school with this. And I mean, maybe they have some interest, but they don't have as much interest as I have. And that's okay. So I think you just have to understand. Let's see what else we have here just to wrap it up. Okay. Wow. A tinting V16. I'm going to address this, and I think this is tremendous. Sometimes I don't trust confidentiality, because there's times I want to talk about things, but then tell other people, and to me that just develops trust issues a bit. If it's something that you're fearful that if it's something that you want to be able to trust someone, but you're fearful that the person may say something, I hate to tell you, don't tell them. And with certain groups of people, there are certain groups of people out there, and I'm not going to say exactly which groups, but I don't trust any of them at all. And I'm not going to get into who those groups of people are, but there are certain groups of people, I do not trust them at all. They will not get anything from me whatsoever. There's specific people that I know out there. They seem like they're trustworthy people, but I would not trust them with anything. The one thing that I can certainly tell you from my own experience, I have a tendency of talking too much. That has been my positive and my negative in life, is that all the great things that I say, I have had my foot in mouth type of moments. So you have to be a little bit careful of that, and maybe kind of keep it close to the vest and not always feel like you have to speak all of the time, because sometimes, again, you can say 10 positive things. All it takes is that one negative thing, and then it kills it all. Okay. There was an expression I read recently, it could take, you could spend 20 years to build a reputation, and it can be ruined in 5 minutes just because you have something bad that can happen. And that happens all too often. All right. I'm going to get one more thing here. Okay. And then we're going to answer one last one, because Charlize started the evening with a great question and is ending the evening with a great question. What is the best way to manage anger within your family? I think that we're going to kind of go with this in terms of the school setting. I think that this is something that schools do not, as a whole, do a very good job with in terms of helping students on managing their anger. And I found in my experience that too often, instead of allowing students to be able to express themselves and be able to get it out of their system and be able to be themselves, that it manifests and it continues to grow, and it grows and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. What I would recommend is, in terms of anger management, if you're finding that you're getting really angry within a school situation, with friends, with family, I cannot encourage you enough that what you need to do, very simply, is you need to just talk to people in general, and talk to people that are not those people that you're angry with. The more you can talk with them, the more you can get the stuff out of your system, the better that you are going to feel. That's the first thing. You look at tonight. Tonight is a perfect example. There are people in here who came in. Let's be honest about it, because I have no problem. I'm not going to hold back. There are people who came into tonight's chat with one intent, and one intent only: to sabotage things. They came in with really not nice intentions. Unfortunately for them, they're going to pay the price for that. As soon as the episode finishes, I know what I'm doing, and I'm not happy about it. And when you do something that's going to potentially hurt people that I care about very much in this chat, and then me personally, that's an issue, and I don't take that very lightly at all. But if you also notice, and believe me, I'm not going to lie, I'm really angry about this right now, but you'll notice that I have not shown that throughout the episode, and that's hard, by the way. It's really, really difficult to be able to kind of balance that. But Charlize, what I would recommend, again, and is to just seek people out. Coming here tonight is going to help you, period. You're going to feel better. You're going to find this as a great outlet, and you're going to be able to get some wisdom, and you're going to be able to hear some of my experiences. And one of the great things about this is it's interactive, and it allows you the opportunity to be able to do a little bit of venting, and again, to do it in a type of way where we have a very, very supportive environment. And that's what we're looking for. So, let's see. Can I do more live episodes, please? Please, we know you're probably busy throughout the week. A tinting. Here is what I will tell you. I right now, with my schedule, as busy as my schedule is, if I do start doing multiple live episodes and we start getting into that format, unfortunately, I'm going to be very honest with you. I am going to burn myself out. I'm being very honest, and I want to be the best Tim Rausenberger I can be for you every single Thursday. That's what I want for you. I want to be able to give you anything and everything I can. And a lot of people at the 2-hour mark, they just sign off. And I'm not going to lie, by the way, for the next week and a half, I am I have so much graduate work I have to do because I am going to be receiving my my master's in music education within the next 2 weeks. And I have a ton of work that I have to do with that. My students at school know that I'm extremely involved in, and a lot of you are right here in the chat. A lot of you are very involved in a lot of the things in music and a lot of things in the arts. And I'm so grateful for all of you, but you also have to understand that I, like you, I do have a life. I am a human being, and I have feelings, I have emotions, and you can even see a little bit. I get, some bags in my eyes. I'm tired. And tomorrow is going to be one of those days, quite honestly, where I kind of just get away for a little while because I deserve it. I've been working really, really hard. So thank you for the congratulations. That means a lot to me. Thank you so much to all of you. What I will say is that I am looking into the possibility of an additional podcast each week, but it's not going to be the same type of live format like this. It's going to be a little bit different. I can't get into all the specifics. If you are interested, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be able to give you that information. Again, for the mentoring, please, if you know anyone who needs a mentor, someone who's interested, my schedule is, I'm just about filled up at this point. I really can't take many more students. My students range in age right now. The ones that I mentor, the ones that I tutor privately, outside of school, not related to the school in any way, range in age from 14. A parent that hired me to tutor their 14-year-old, that young, and my oldest student right now is 45 years old. Someone that I still mentor on not an everyday basis. I would say we keep in touch weekly. And she actually is one of my star pupils and is someone who is going to be, has done a video testimonial for me, which is quite beautiful. And I'm talking about how much I've helped her to turn around so many things in her life. She's actually a teacher and a music teacher, and a darn good one. And we worked really hard on kind of turning things around. So you guys are amazing. You guys are absolutely incredible people. You guys are better people now because you decided to spend the time here and be involved. And these are the types of things, my friends. These are the things that are going to make you smarter, are going to make you wiser. They're going to give you an edge over other people. And I'm grateful for you. I really am. And this is why I do this, because I always feel amazing after all these podcasts, and I try to cater them to you. Yes, we're going to be doing a podcast in the future. I need to learn Spanish. That needs to happen. Today's episode was supposed to be from my kitchen. I know a lot of you wanted that. You want to see me doing some cooking, and more than anything, I think, because I think a lot of you just want to learn how to eat healthier and, kind of get an idea of how to go about doing that. And I'm going to certainly do that soon, possibly as soon as next week. We will see. Next week we'll still be here in this studio in my home, but in August might be actually out on the road, might even be out of state doing an episode. So at any rate, congratulations again to Michelle on the tickets. And Michelle, make sure to contact me so I can get these tickets to you. And congratulations to all of you. You guys are all to be commended for just being sensational human beings. Guys, do me a huge favor. This is the biggest thing you can do to help me out right now. I'm going to be really blunt with you. I'm going to be really honest with you. It would really be great if you can spread this to other people and get other people to subscribe. We have a lot of subscribers right now. As I've said many times, we have been moving upward, and but until I get to that magic 1,000 subscribers, there are still restrictions that I have from YouTube. There's just things I cannot do until I hit 1,000 subscribers, and once that happens, a lot of windows open up. So again, wow, it's hinting. That's just too kind of you. Do you want to be a moderator? That's great. That's really super, super nice of you to post that. It is the email address. You can reach out to me there anytime. And again, Facebook Messenger or the Facebook page, you can also put that on there. You guys are the absolute best. And I will see you again next Thursday with another exciting episode for episode 302. Peace.